Yeah, so there's maths you can do to work out like how big a aerator you need for how much pond. And also there's like a little bit of science about when you run the aerators. Like this aerator right now is only running for a couple of hours, like early in the morning. I don't need it to run any more than that. I think that the pond is doing fine. Obviously the more oxygen you get into the pond, like the better it will help deal with like the fish waste, the fish poop, or any other like leaves and things that are going into the pond that you're not cleaning. They need to get broken down, and then that will use oxygen. So if your pond is looking bad, you might need an aerator to improve that function. But when it comes to fish and how much dissolved oxygen they have in the water to be able to breathe properly, tilapia are like the best fish to grow when you're starting out farming fish, because they give you a good indication that they don't have enough oxygen by coming to the surface and gasping. And they do this in different stages. Like they'll do it in a light way that they don't quite have enough oxygen, and they'll do it in a very strong way where they're like very clearly can't do anything but sit on the surface and suck air. And it gives you plenty of warning, plenty of notice. So when you see that they're gasping, then you can give them a bit more air. So it's good to have an aerator. It's good to have more air than you need, so you can always turn it up. But you can also aerate the water by letting water fall into it. So if you pump water into your pond, that also improves the oxygen content in the water. One thing out here which is really good for my pond is that it's really open. There's no trees immediately around it, so any bit of breeze that we get comes across the top of this pond, and it has a lot of exchange. It helps with the natural exchange of oxygen from the air to the water. So I don't know, aeration is like, there's a few things that are connected to aeration. So it's not just the aerator that controls how much dissolved oxygen is in the water. You can test it. We brought like a pack of a kit test where you have to like manually test the oxygen using the special chemicals that they give you. That worked for a bit, but like I said, you can tell how much oxygen is by how happy your fish are. If you have tilapia and they're like eating well, then you have plenty of oxygen, right? I mean, then they stop eating well if they have not enough oxygen, and then they start going to the surface, and then they start being on the surface gasping. So I mean, there's those different levels. I mean, you can tell these fish are happy because they're following me around looking for food. Yeah, you'll find that different shaped ponds need different aeration. Like this pond really needs 2 aerators because it's so long, skinny. So it has one up there, which is great. But really it needs another one on the other side. So it needs one this side. I have one in the water, but I just have a problem with one of the hoses. So I just need to buy a bit more hose. Some of the hoses that I brought locally, they seem to degrade in the sun, and then they'll just break on you. And then some of the cheapest hoses that I brought on Amazon also, do the same thing. I did buy one slightly more expensive hose on Amazon, and it was worth it. It was a weighted hose. So what's really good is that when you put it in the water, it doesn't sit on top. Like this cheaper hose that isn't weighted, you see how it sits up on the top. It's kind of annoying if you're trying to catch fish or anything like that. So I splashed out for some of the weighted hose in the other pond, and it was so much better. Yeah, you can just set it and forget it, really. So it probably costs twice the amount, but yeah. Also, if you do like long runs of air hose, it's better to get a slightly bigger hose so you don't lose so much with the air friction. So it's the efficiency. There's like some maths that you can do. Here I have the bigger pump, the bigger air pump. It's a Matala rocking piston. And the idea is that it's a bit stronger than these ones. These ones are just diaphragm pumps, so they can only go to a certain depth. They can only compress air down to a certain depth, like about 5 feet. And because my bigger pond is like 10 feet, I had to buy this bigger guy here. It's a little bit more money. See, it has some nicer hoses with it. Yeah, this is a nicer hose I have here. This material is a bit better than the cheapy stuff that breaks. Yeah, I find that the cheapy stuff, it's brittle, and then after a little bit in the sun, it kind of can snap, you know. I have some different types of diffusers or bubblers. This one seems quite long lasting. This has been in there for about 6 months. It just hangs down a foot below the surface naturally. And the other thing with the oxygen is that oxygen levels change throughout the day. So, because the oxygen's also created by the algae in the water, so you find that in the evening the sunlight has created the most amount of oxygen that the pond will have during the day. Like if you were to look at a chart of your dissolved oxygen levels of your pond, it would be at its highest at the end of the day when the sunlight is been hitting the pond all day, because the sunlight helps create the oxygen in the pond. And then you find overnight there's no sunlight, so that process stops, and there's probably less wind as well, so that process stops and the oxygen level goes down. So the fish really struggle at the last couple of hours at the end of the night, as the daylight is just starting out, like right now. And then throughout the day, the oxygen becomes more and more. So it makes it tricky for aeration, because you want to aerate during the night, really, not during the day. They don't need it so much during the day. So that makes it tricky when you're looking at solar options for aeration. So there's some things to think about for sure, but I guess what I'd recommend is that if you arm yourself with as many different ways of doing things as possible. So if you can like pump fresh water into your pond, then they have some kind of difficulty. You can always do that to give them a bit of a boost if they need it. But yeah, the aerator pumps are very, very useful. Can't really get them in Belize. I had to import mine from Amazon. So the other thing about the aerators is that they need to be protected from the rain. So you need to like build some kind of enclosure for them. I have them in a shed that I built for managing the fish ponds. But yeah, you also want to give them ventilation, so you can't just put them in a box. The box has to have like good ventilation and plenty of space.